welcome back to the Blind Gooner, and welcome to my top 5 favourite Arsenal players. Now, these players are just my top 5 favourites, and any of the players that don't make my list doesn't mean to say that they're not great players. It's just, I'm just giving you my top 5. So let's get into it. Firstly, I'm going to start with number 5, and number 5 in my list is Alexis Sanchez. Now, this guy, I thought he was a quality player for us. You guys are probably going to ask why he's in my top 5. Simply because he's in my top 5 because he carried us through a lot of games. Single-handedly when none other players stepped up. So that's why he's in my top 5. And not only that, when he came to the club, his energy was just outstanding. Always running at players, always keen to take a player on, always keen to score goals. He was a born winner, and it is a shame that things ended the way they did. And quite frankly, I think Alexis Sanchez, a lot of people are dissing Alexis Sanchez because he went to Man United. But listen, I think we need to be appreciating Alexis Sanchez and appreciating what he'd done for us. If he ever got the chance to come back to Arsenal, I would have him back in a heartbeat. So number 5, Alexis Sanchez. Now let's get into number 4. Number 4 is Patrick Vieira. What an absolute quality player. He is the midfielder, the leader that this current team that we've got at the moment is lacking. He was always ready to get in your face, get in the opponent's face. And not just the opponent's face, he'd get in, teammates' face. If they weren't pulling their weight, he would get into them going, come on, fix up. We're fucking Arsenal Football Club. We need to start pulling together and putting performances in. And the battles that he had with Roy Keane down the years, oh my God, they were just legendary. Listen, when them two got on the pitch, you knew that sparks were going to fly. So number 4 is Patrick Vieira. Now on to number 3. And this was a bit tricky for me because there were so many great Arsenal players. And unfortunately, they're not all going to get into the top 5. They're not all going to get into my list. And I'm picking players from my era, from when I started watching Arsenal. I know there was a lot of greats over the years, but I'm picking players from my era. So when I was watching Arsenal at school, when I started watching Arsenal, and my next player for number 3 is Dennis Bergkamp. Now, a lot of you would put him up there to be the greatest Arsenal player, and there is some argument to that he was one of the greats to ever play. But listen, in my opinion, he was a great player. In my opinion, I didn't rate him as highly as some of the others who are going to be next down on my list. But listen, he was an absolute quality player. He was like the Kevin De Bruyne that Man City have got today. Dennis Bergkamp would always make things happen. He would always, when Arsenal needed a goal, he would always get a goal. When Arsenal needed that little bit of creativity, he would always be there. I cannot understand why there are people out there that are comparing Mesut Ozil to Dennis Bergkamp. No fucking way. Dennis Bergkamp is 10 times the player that Mesut Ozil is. And all those people that are comparing Mesut Ozil to Dennis Bergkamp, you need to get your fucking heads tested, because he is not in that same category. Dennis Bergkamp is miles better than Mesut Ozil. So now on to number 2. And again, this was tricky for me because I had to go through all the great Arsenal players. And I'm going to go with Robert Pires. What an absolute player he was. You know, never afraid to score a goal. Plus, he was part of that Invincibles, a part of the Invincible winning side. So I had to put him in there. And so, yeah, he is number 2 on my list. Now, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, guys, everybody might have a difference of opinion, but my opinion, the greatest Arsenal player, or one of the greatest, and he's my number 1 favourite Arsenal player, is Thierry Henry. What an absolute player he was. Always scoring goals. He's a bit like Aubameyang. He is a bit like Aubameyang, and some people are comparing Aubameyang to him, and I would say Aubameyang's not as good as Thierry Henry, but not far behind at all. But yeah, Thierry Henry is my number 1 favourite Arsenal player. So there we have it, guys. That's my top 5 Arsenal players, favourite Arsenal players. Now, there are many more greats. You know, we've got players like Ian Wright, Nigel Winterburn, Lee Dixon, Tony Adams. And a lot of you are going to ask why Tony Adams and these sorts of players aren't in my list. Listen, there were so many players to choose from. But, unfortunately, this is just, my opinion. So the players that I've given to you are just my opinion. They're just, this is who are my favourites. But let me know your favourites. Leave it all down there in the comments below. Let me know your favourite top 5 Arsenal players. And let me know if they are similar to mine or different. Listen, everybody who's an Arsenal fan has different favourites and different players that they like. These are just my favourites. Well, there you have it, guys. That's it for my top 5 favourite Arsenal players of all time. Like I said, leave yours down below. Let me know who your favourites are. And stay tuned, because there's going to be a couple of these videos coming up on my channel. I've got lots of these coming through, so be sure to stay tuned. Please stick a like on this video, share the content around, subscribe if you're new. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon. Take care, people.